city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is March 11th, YC127, and this is the Eve Universe Show! Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, guys? What is this? Drugs? Drugs. Okay, well, fair enough. It's a good place to start. How's it going, guys? We have a lot to talk about today. Today is a big day for news. We have a lot of information about what's coming tomorrow that's important to everybody in New Eden. There's big, big, big changes coming tomorrow. But today, the event... Yes, Ari, this is where you get Monster Hunter Wilds tips. Stop playing Monster Hunter Wilds and come do Drifter. So, the Drifter Crisis sites have escalated once again, and now we have a full-blown event with an event track and objectives and points to want to get and rewards, including a coveted brand new Drifter plug suit. All that and more is available to starting today. Under 5 hours till you turn 30. Congratulations. And then tomorrow, like I said, there's going to be big changes coming. There's also a big event has just started on Eve Galaxy Conquest, and possibly more. So we've got a lot to look at today. So get yourself a nice cup of coffee in your swag mug that I'm sure you all have. And let's go ahead and start jumping into it. I think that while I do want to talk about what is going on tomorrow, I think it's best, it makes sense, I guess, for now to kind of work things in chronological order. So let's talk about what's going on today for those of you who are like, what's even happening? I don't understand. Drifter Crisis. So I'm not going to explain the whole Drifter Crisis to you guys right now. I've done that over the last week or two. In fact, there's a big 9-hour long lore video that covers a lot of information. That plus the lore speedrun from a few years back together will really help you out. If you want a briefing, I have a video called Who Are the Drifters? It's on the Talking in Stations YouTube channel. You can go check out for some basics. Lore from the beginning. In the beginning, no. But just so that we're clear, as the Deathless has continued his research into Zarzak and the Warden, this has seemed to have upset the Drifters, who have long been kind of around, but have not been highly aggressive since, well, really since Jamil being assassinated and the Drifter attacks then, but obviously they were somewhat involved with the Triglavians. It does seem like the Drifters have been getting a upper hand against the Triglavians in the Abyss, possibly because a whole bunch of the Pochfin, a whole bunch of them are now in Pochfin. Yeah, just an 8-hour. I do not call the 8-hour one a speed run. So the Drifters have been attacking throughout the cluster. Now in all of Empire space, the Empires have been scrambling to deal with this. And now it seems that various entities within the universe are going to try to take the next step. As I've said before, you know, like, it's your classic, like, alien invasion thing, right? This alien invades, they're super powerful, they're overwhelming, we don't know anything about them, so now we need to slowly start building our knowledge about them, right? But the thing is that Drifters use Jovian tech to extent. A lot of this is over the power of the Jovian technology from, like, the second Jovian Empire, which is thousands of years old. That empire collapsed a while ago, right? But left behind various different things, including the Warden and Zarzak, and the Fulcrum. So the Deathless, who is a former SSCT person, is trying to unlock these secrets and have gotten quite far. But as we pointed out, it has triggered the Drifters, but at the same time has demonstrated the power of the technology that he's unleashing, including bending space-time around Zarzak in order to prevent the drifters from being able to wormhole into the system, like a giant event horizon, just as one example, but also flexing their powerful FTL hacking capabilities using the Warden. So the Deathless has been kind of escalating, and the Empires have decided that they need the Deathless's technology so that they can occupy the 5 drifter wormholes. When the drifters currently have 5 home systems, each of which are named after a defensive structure: Barbican, Conflux, etc. These wormholes have been here since 2015, 2016, when the drifters first showed up, and they have existed as a place to go to do these cool hive dives where you fight some drifters and some sleepers, and you pick up these weird elements, and you unlock different pieces of the drifter hive. And it's been there as kind of a mystery, but has largely been unused in game, except for actually when the Fulcrum was first turning on, the Deathless needed a whole bunch of elements from the drifter hives, and that was the first and only time that those things have ever been useful for anything ever. But the point is that it seems that the 10 factions: Galente, Amar, Mimitar, Caldari, Angel Cartel, Evermore, Society of Conscious Thought, Triglavian Collective, Upwell Consortium, and Eating Calm, have decided to take things to the next step and attempt to gain footholds within the drifter hive. So now, for the next 2 weeks, we had the Deathless sites that got attacked by the Republic last week, and they got the Warden harmonics, which are basically encryption keys to allow people to remotely access the Warden. It was part of their first step to try to break into the Deathless's tech. So these different organizations are asking for those harmonics. And then now stage 2 is happening, where every player is now asked to side with one of these factions. And then as you do tasks for these invasion, or for the crisis, you will gain points for an event track that also will gain points for your faction. So at the end of these 2 weeks, the top 5 teams will be able to begin their occupying of the wormhole process, right? So 5 of these guys are going to make it to the next stage. 5 of them are going to be eliminated. And the total number of points that's acquired by those who are signing up for that group are going to be the ones that get to proceed. So I do not believe that the event rewards are different regardless of which team you choose. So this isn't a matter of like you getting different rewards depending on your team. The rewards are the same. It's simply a matter of which team do you want to join. However, I still have some pretty significant problems with this event. We'll look at them in just a few seconds. But it says here, the storm is breaking. The time to act is now. The Drifter crisis is escalating as empires, corporations, and pirate factions in New Eden push back. Capsuleers are called to take up arms into the race of the hives, not for personal glory, but to carve out a future for their chosen faction in the war against the Drifters. A season challenge and reward track has been introduced, giving Capsuleers a chance to score points for one of 10 factions as they push back against the Drifter threat. While they share a common goal, these factions are not allies. They are rivals, each seeking to claim power, resources, and strategic footholds in their war as they race for the Drifter hives. 07, guys. So you can align yourself with, as I said, Galente, Amar, Mimitar, Caldari, Angel Cartel, Evermore, Society of Conscious Thought, Triglavian Collective, Upwell Consortium, and Eating Calm. By completing event challenges, you will earn points that will assign to your chosen faction. At the end of the event, the top 5 factions will launch the next phase of the war by directly occupying Drifter wormhole systems. The outcome of the race for the hives will determine which factions get a foothold in Drifter space. Those who will rise to the challenge and reap the rewards, not just in valuable loot, but in faction supremacy over the Drifter threat. Rewards include a selection of volatile boosters to enhance your combat performance, alongside exclusive Drifter plug suit, a piece of apparel that will mark its owner as a veteran of this critical battle. It's really cool. And it's actually going to be pretty easy to get the Drifter plug suit, but we'll look at that. This is not just another fight. These factions in New Eden see an opportunity to seize what the Drifters have taken. They'll stop at nothing to secure their claim. The Drifters will not fall easily, and only the strongest factions will have what it takes to for what is to come. Keep an eye on the New Eden News for live updates. So if you decide with a team that fails the first point, you're just out. Well, your team is out, but you still get all of the, like, you still get your rewards for the track. It's just your team doesn't get to advance. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about why you might want to join each of these, okay? The 4 empires are, of course, the 4 empires. The Gallente are the democracy of New Eden. Amar are the faithful. The Mimitar are the freed slaves. And the Caldari are the corporate meritocracy. You know, there's plenty of lore about all of those. I'm not going to go too deep into those. We've talked about them plenty of times. Why harmonics end earlier than race? Because the harmonics was supposed to end today. Like the harmonics starts the race. Like it was just phase 1. This is phase 2. I don't know how many points the harmonics are going to be worth. By the way, if you have harmonics, do not sell them to sell orders. We will talk about that in a second too. The Angel Cartel represents the only pirate group that's in that's in this whole race. The Angel Cartel being the largest, most organized of the pirate groups. Also, the Angel Cartel have a lot of history with the Second Jovian Empire. The Angel Cartel territory is basically the ancestral home of the Second Jovian Empire. So they may have a better understanding than a lot of people when it comes to it, and they've been kind of tracing this. So they likely have an edge. Although they're an incredibly chaotic group and outlaws for outlaws' sake. I've done videos about them. But yeah, if you like, as far as pirate groups go, they represent the pirate groups. Number 1 went to Mimitar. Number 2 went to Triglavians. I hope that Triglavians were number 1. Evermore is an expansion of Interbus, which is a neutral transportation system that it basically expanded its purview after its previous CEO was died of a heart attack / was murdered, and then Evermore kind of rises up and expands from not just transportation but also security and construction. And then proceeds to release Paragon with Iris, the artificial intelligence that runs their systems. And they mostly focus on Skinner. They're really big about like cosmetics and supporting capsuleers in that kind of way. Evermore is pretty super sketch. Society of Conscious Thought is basically the remnants of the Third Jovian Empire now. The Society of Conscious Thought is effectively a secret society / academy that rose up during the Third Jovian Empire and actually kind of started to take it over a little bit in a thing that was known as the War of a Million Lies. Apparently that was a problem, and eventually the Society of Conscious Thought moved out of the Jovian Empire and into kind of the rest of the known space and started to kind of integrate with the other empires and setting up academies and stuff. And now that the Third Jovian Empire has effectively left, the Society of Conscious Thought has inherited the Jovians' authority, like for Concord and stuff. So actually, Gallente, Amar, Mimitar, Caldari, and Society of Conscious Thought are all Concord. So then Triglavian Collective. Triglavian Collective is, the Triglavian Collective are an ancient group of people that stem from about the Second Jovian Empire that appear to have been trapped in deep in abyssal dead space for quite some time. In 2019, we started to see them for the first time. And then in 2020, they began an invasion where they captured 27 systems owned by Concord and has created the systems of Pochfin from there. The Triglavian Collective have mostly outside of that invasion stuck to themselves and are focused on their own experimentation or proving, as they call it, as well as the stabilization of Pochfin and trying to keep out any corruption as they see it. However, the Drifters are the Triglavian Collective's ancient enemy Azdaja, or ancient enemy dragon, and the Drifters have been pushing down the Triglavian Collective and has been gaining a upper hand recently. So the Triglavians are having a bit of a problem with the Drifter threat, and so they could use some more tech. Spoiler, I strongly would recommend everybody support the Triglavian Collective if you don't know. They are, in my opinion, the most prepared to deal with the drifters without necessarily being too much against the Deathless himself. Because remember, we're not stealing drifter tech, we're stealing Deathless tech. They're making this seem like it's against the drifters, but really this is an attack against the Deathless. So just keep that in mind, that a lot of these guys, these Concord guys, Evermore, Edencom, Upwell Consortium, all these guys have ulterior motives for wanting to steal Deathless information. The Upwell Consortium was created, around 2017, 2018, as a consortium of corporations from all four empires whose goal is to build tools and devices made for Capsuleers. So they build all of the structures, the Raitaru, the Athenors, all of those things. Those are all Upwell structures. All the Flex structures are Upwell structures. And recently, Upwell Consortium has released their new Equinox line, which basically revolutionized how nullsec works. However, Upwell has been one of the major targets of the Deathless's attacks in insurgencies, and the Deathless has deployed his soldiers, his clone soldiers, against Upwell Consortium operations numerous times now. So I would say that Upwell Consortium, while they probably do have some interest in drifters, are definitely hostile to the Deathless. And then finally, Edencom. Edencom actually is the New Eden Common Defense Initiative, which is basically a Concord initiative to try to unify the navies of the four empires against the Triglavian invasions in 2020. The heart of Edencom is a group called Aegis, which is like effectively the clone soldiers for Concord. But they had their purview expanded when the Triglavians invaded, and again afterwards. There's been a lot of shadiness when it comes to Edencom. The Amar have used Edencom to their own ends, including spying on their reported allies like the Caldari. But yeah. I'm just not sure how I can be certain that the Triglavians don't have ulterior motives that we haven't heard about. Maybe I would say that if the Triglavians had ulterior motives, they would have already just done them, right? Like the Triglavians are doing what the Triglavians want to do. When they wanted to invade, they invaded. When they wanted to take systems, they took them. When they wanted to stop, they stopped. And now they're working on stabilizing it. Like, I don't think... Now, the Drifters might represent an existential threat to the Triglavians, but so far, the Triglavians... I have my own biases, but I have long since believed that the Triglavians are not necessarily that bad, and that a lot of the hostility against Triglavians is Concord propaganda, which, as we all know, Concord is the true enemy of all Empyreans. All right. Yeah, I mean, like, how would you like it if you were trapped in an abyss of nothingness for several thousand years? They just needed some space. There are 5,000 plus systems in New Eden. You don't think that we could spare 27 to the Trig? Come on now. Okay. So let's look at this. In addition, we have gain points by completing challenges related to the Drifter Crisis, blah, blah, blah. So we have until the 3rd. You can continue to gain points after it's completed. That's fine. And apparently we will get New Eden news as time goes on to let us know how progress is going. Can you please do the Drifter hacking sites? I've done it in a previous episode. They are, like, it's mostly about careful moving around. So we are looking at the lesser of the 10 evils. I mean, well, you got to think, like, all of these guys are baseliners. We're Capsuleers, so we got to think about it for ourselves, too. Why were they trapped there to begin with back in the day? I would say the Second Jovian Empire, their leadership was known as tyrants. I don't know. The Shrouded Days was a dark time. Okay, so... so basically, as people tried to... in order to... The Warden Connection Harmonics, which came from last week's event, they put up buy orders for those across the different corporations that were looking to buy them. However, some smart players were like, hey, wait a minute. When somebody tries to sell something to a buy order, they automatically sell it to the highest offered buy order, right? So if I put in a buy order that's higher than CCP's NPC buy order, then whoever has it will be incapable of selling it to the NPC buy order. They'll just sell it to me. And see, I don't care how much this costs me because I'm trying to make this for my team. There are people bought 50 Warden connection harmonics for 100 billion ISK, guys. Like, these things are ridiculous. There's probably like only 1,000 of them in existence, period. There was actually a report that the site that these things spawned from actually respawned rather a little while after the event. So it could very well be that there's more than we thought. But even if so, there's somewhere between 500 to 1,000 of these doodads. People are buying them for a ton. So if I can just put up a buy order and then you sell it to me, great. I can bring it to my own guys. I can keep it, whatever I want to do. So to fix this, CCP has now made it so that the Warden connection harmonics are able to be turned in at the LP store. So if you dock in the station and then open up that LP store, you should be able to see a turn-in for the Warden connection harmonics, and that can't be simulated, or that can't be overwritten by a player. So that's your safe method to... Hey, Dejat Lamont! I'm sorry to see that being your first post in a while, but it is good to see you, man. Okay. Drifter Crisis rescue sites and salvage research homefront operations have been rebalanced. Wrecks are now significantly easier to salvage. Yeah, the wrecks were a little bit hard to salvage last time. Somebody was mentioning that earlier, or the other day. But the number of wrecks has gone from 18 to 30. So while you have to spend less time salvaging any given wreck, the total number of wrecks that there are has increased. This should actually slow down the site, even while allowing for people with lower skills to be able to salvage just fine. Because like a big problem is like alphas can't really salvage that good. They don't have salvager 2s. So now people can do it, but it'll take a little bit longer because there's more cans to salvage. The Drifter Crisis Lancer counteroffensive sites, which remember, this is the one that's the most multi-boxed. Focus neutralizer NPCs will no longer respawn after being destroyed. Focus neutralizer fleets are now weighted towards cruisers. Additional focused neutralizer fleets will spawn during the first and second Dreadnought siege cycles. Target structure EHP values and allied Dreadnought damage values have been increased to make directly damaging the structure less viable. So, so basically, oh yeah, also NPCs equipped with ECM has been added to the Drifter Crisis Lancer counteroffensive sites. So it was such that so in the Lancer site, there's a big dread, and you've got to cap up the dread all the way up, and then it shoots its lance, and then you cap it up, shoots its lance, cap it up, shoots its lance, right? There's like a minute and a half or whatever siege cycle in between those where you can't do anything. But besides that, that's basically the whole thing. Now, just like with the Drifter Crisis or the Deathless site, there's actually two types of spawns in the room. There's the focus neutralizing rats, and then there's the rest of the rats. So you're supposed to try to kill the focus neutralizer rats because they're neuting out the rats or wrecks. Sorry, they're neuting out the dread as you're trying to cap it up. So now you actually have, like, it used to be that you killing them, they just respawn. You kill them, they just respawn. So now, rather than that, they just respawn every single time during the first and second Dreadnought siege cycles. And I think that that's important because it used to be that you could just ignore the rats. You don't kill them. They don't respawn because there's nothing to, like, they don't respawn because they're still spawned. And so you just kind of cap it up through them. Now they'll continue to pile up. So it behooves you to actually kill the focus neutralizers. In addition to that, there's going to be ECM rats, which can be a bit of a problem. Jammers, though, is something that Logi should have to deal with anyways. It adds a little bit of excitement to it. And of course, Logi ships could fit ECCM to prevent this from being a problem. But just trying to make this site a little bit spicier, and that ECM adds a little bit of variance to make it so that it's just a little bit harder to multi-box, which I think is pretty good. Hold on a second. I'm hearing some crashing around in the rest of my room or house. I forgot to fill her dog bowl. Okay, so now battle wreckage within fleet rescue sites now use an empty wreck icon. Triglavian invasion notifications should no longer appear when entering Tabitzer. Good. I wonder if what they're gonna do with Tabitzer as this goes on. Either way. So if we go into game. Click on events. Here is the Drifter Hive Race for the Hives event. There are 4 active challenges. Now, I haven't checked it out yet. Maybe somebody will be able to tell me, but like I assume that there might be like different challenges that unlock when you finish one. That sometimes is the way it works. But it may just cycle the same ones over and over and over again. I'm not 100% sure yet. But okay, so you get 30 points for dealing 150,000 damage to drifters and sleepers within a Drifter Crisis site. Use Relic Analyzer on 5 different cans for 20 points. Rescue those trapped in field research rescue sites. You need to salvage 10 cans for 20 points. Deal damage to ships attacking the wormhole research outpost. 50,000 damage for 30 points. At 75 points, well, first of all, I have this right here is the biggest problem with this event right now. This is what makes this event kind of suck, honestly. And I hate to say that, but this is what's going to be a problem. These tasks are no good for this actual event. So here's the problem. You have the 4 sites, right? You have the hacking site, which is fine. That's there. You have the salvage site. That's fine. That's there. In theory, all 3 people can be salvaging. However, when it comes to... Oh, it goes... hacking, damage to drifters, damage to elite, damage to dreamer. Wait, damage to dreamer? Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's going to be... That's going to be hard. So... The thing is that the Lancer site, as I said, most of your fleet are logistics because it's about capping up the dread, not about necessarily killing very much. I mean, usually we bring 1 dude to help kill the, hey, Nick. We usually use 1 dude to help kill the rats or, you know, get credit for doing damage. But like... The other Logi are just not going to get anything for it because they're capping and they're repping. Neither of those are worth any credit. Hey, Malin, thanks for joining as a member. And then, of course, the Drifter site, or sorry, the Deathless site is even weirder because so with the Deathless site, we have 3 Logi, 2 DPS in order to keep up on the Obliviating that try to kill the tower. So those 2 DPS are going to be earning points twice, right? Because they're dealing damage to drifters and sleepers within the Drifter Crisis, and they're dealing damage to ships attacking the wormhole research outpost. So as one of the 2 damage dealers, I'm going to be earning double points, but the Logi earn nothing. Now, the Logi could bring drones, but CCP has made it so these sites are incredibly aggressive against drones. So if you want your Logi to be using drones long term, they're going to have to bring a whole bunch of extra drones and be willing to just lose some over time in order to get a tiny amount of points for what's going on. 150,000 damage to Dreamer for 150 points. That's also going to be a rough one to do because the Dreamer only happens once per crisis. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to have to see how it plays out. I personally feel like Logi are used to getting nothing. Don't worry about us. You guys get plenty of love, plenty of respect. We might have to just start tipping our Logi again. We used to do a thing where every site we would tip our Logi 1 million per person. That's partially because the people who were doing the hacking, this was the hacking site. So the hackers got the doodads out of the hacking point. And so since they kept that money, they donated to the Logi as a tip. We may just have to, like start the hobby of tipping our Logi again or rotating out Logi so that way people can get different points. Now, what's interesting is that so people can sign up for whoever they want. So your group might have somebody working for the Trig, somebody working for Eating Com, somebody working for, Mimitar or whatever. So there might be some politics for who you guys let get points. But either way, so for rewards, we have the Vis Fatalis Volatile Booster. It has an armor repair bonus of 16%. That's crazy, but it only lasts for 3.5 minutes by default. So I guess 7 minutes. That's not a lot of time. That's an interesting idea. A really, really impactful booster that lasts a very short period of time. Opportunities can help with Logi too. That's true. Actually, our alliance right now pays people extra ISK for doing logistics in crisis systems through our opportunity system. Come join the Convocation Empyreans. Okay, so W477 TAC P. Sorry, W477 TAC Platinum Metallic. Balnum Volatile Booster. Sorry, the first booster is at 75 points. The second thing is at 180 points. The Balnum Volatile Booster is 16% shield boosts for 3.5 to 7 minutes. And they expire on the 3rd, so not very long. They don't last very long either. Also, these are limited, which kind of sucks. I wish that these were unlimited. If these are gonna be rewards for a limited time event, it'd be nice for these Skinner pieces to be unlimited. Midnight Wormhole Mat for 400 points. Aquatia Volatile Boost. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. 16% capacitor. That could actually be a really strong one. It's only for 7 minutes. It's weird because 7 minutes is barely enough time to even do that's 1 or 2 rooms in the Abyss. People that don't like the Trigs are just salty about Niarja. That's probably true. And then Hive Green Mat and Mithridate Volatile Booster, which is 16% flight time. So that's missile projection. That's weird. And then this Oncoming Storm Pattern is at 900. And then finally, the Drifter Plug Suit Reward Crate, which comes with the Drifter Plug Suit, which I think is really cool. This is the big thing, right? These are the big ones. I'll bet Caldari and Mimitar. I don't know. There's a lot of support to the Triglavians. But yeah, I bet Caldari and Mimitar have a lot of support themselves. So yeah. If you want to get involved, the Convocation Empyreans is doing Deathless sites. Also, Dutch Gunner runs his sites, and there are lots of other people going in. By the way, one of the interesting thoughts just for people that I was having when it comes to these things, especially if you're just Logi. If you do Logi all the time, what's weird about this is that this means that people are now encouraged to let the Triglavian, the crises last as long as possible, right? You run the sites, it pushes up the influence, and when the influence comes to 100%, then the final Dreamer site spawns. When the Dreamer is destroyed, then the crisis is resolved and goes away, and a new one spawns like a few hours later, right? Well, that's just how it looks, DK. That's just how it's always been on the Drifters. So now there's going to be an interest in people running these things for these points. Notice, and this is what, like, I personally feel like all of these should just be like completing the site, right? Especially the damage ones. It'd be so much better if it was like complete a Lancer site, complete a Deathless site. So that way everybody that's in the site on the winning team gets the credit, you know, whatever. I think I'd strongly prefer that. I don't know why they did it this way. I can only assume it's because of technical limitations that they should really work on. But the thing is that what this means is that you could just go into a crisis system with a ship, like a T1 cruiser, for example, that has some pretty decent tank, and just start going into everybody's sites, the Lancer site and the Deathless sites that people are running, and just start doing damage and getting credit for this. You don't have to be part of the fleet. If you start taking damage, you know, if you can't tank it, then just warp off, you know, whatever. You can complete these just on your own time without even joining a fleet if you want to. In fact, there has been, I've already heard reports of a lot of extra disruption and tomfoolery going around in these crisis sites, partially because people actually want these crisis sites to now last longer. So there are people intentionally failing sites now in order to try to push down the influence. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next 12 days goes. So let me know in the comments down below, who are you siding with and why? And keep an eye on this as we continue to watch these crises unfold. But I think that's it for the crisis side. If you're watching live, stay tuned. If you're watching this edited, thank you guys for checking it out. Like I said, let me know who you're on the side of, and like the video and subscribe to the channel so that way you can keep up with all the new updates. I'm going to be following all the New Eden news and this event and the rest of EVE as it unfolds. I'm an Asherathi, the voice of New Eden. Until next time, I'll see you in space. All right. Ooh. Evil, you can talk to me about it. As of right now, like I try not to take on whole corporations within the convocation, but I'd be willing to talk to somebody who's interested. All right. How about a corp of one? No, I just ask you to join the you can join the corporation. You can, so if you want to stay in your own corp and be part of the convocation, you can do that too. Just make an alt and apply to the corp, and then we can tie those two together. So that way you're considered part of the convocation, even if you're not like in it in game. All right, so let's get ready for the next thing. Oh, shit. There is one last thing that I wanted to show off about the selection process, just so you guys know. When you do make a selection, when you first log in, race for the hives. Okay, so when you first log in, you'll see this thing up here that says race for the hives, select a faction, and you can select. Now, this is a random order, but you can click and drag to scroll. So if you don't see your current ally that you wanted to join, you may need to scroll to be able to see the rest of them. Okay? So just keep that in mind. And just to make sure, let's go ahead and join a different group with this one. Let's join... screw it. Let's go with Galente. So same. Yep, all the rewards are exactly the same. Eating cum is the worst rank. People really don't like eating cum. Mouse wheel scroll works too? For what? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. All right. Ooh, what's going on? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Ah, more Logi bonuses. Nice. Okay. Will blasting drifters and sleepers affect Pochvin standings if done outside of Pochvin? No. Although, well, a little tiny bit, I think. I think that they might have a small standings change. I don't think so. I don't think so. How does an all in the same account work? Do they share the 5K skill points on alpha clones? No. Each alt gets to have their own... You could... So, for instance, let's just put it this way. You could make a brand new account, right, using a buddy code, and leave that million SP unallocated in your redemption window, not applied to any given character, just in your redemption window. And you could train all 3 of your characters to 5 million skill points. And then you would end up with 5 million SP allocated on each of your 3 accounts or characters, and 1 million free SP to allocate to any one of them for, you know, specialization or whatever, right? Like that. I'm not saying that you should do that per se. I'm just saying like that's what you could do. You can solo the hacking site. Yeah, the hacking site can be soloed. The rest of them are not soloable. Okay, so let's see. We've been kind of following for a little while. People have been freaking out about the mineral price index, et cetera, et cetera. CCP Okami kind of came in and said that he's going to fix it all. But then he also hinted that March 12th was going to be a major content update for all of EVE in more than just the mining changes, okay? And now we have information about all of the rest of the stuff coming tomorrow on the 12th. Now, it's interesting that this is coming out tomorrow instead of today because they wanted today to be all about the Drifter Crisis. But tomorrow, we've got new stuff coming. So we're going to watch. They posted these videos to Instagram, which some people got shitty about. By the way, I'm just going to say to any of you guys that were like, grr, why? How dare they post it into Instagram? Guys, CCP is a fucking company. Like, and they live in the modern world with the realities that involves. And when you are running a game company, especially an online game company, you're going to utilize as many different vectors of social media as you possibly can. Okay? They did post it all on the forums. I can't believe this, that this guy, like, just down here, oh, man. Why can't these trash devs put their comments and stuff here on the official EVE forums? Says person on thread on official EVE forums with all of the updates. Like, I get that it's not in text. I get that we don't get all the details. But come on, CCP's got to experiment with different social media stuff. Get used to it. Like, this is very much okay boomer shit. Like, let's get over it. We've got some news. Turn on my desktop audio so that way you guys can hear it. Let's start with the first one.
Hey everybody, this is CCP Okami. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the state of mining. There's been a ton of conversations around where mining's at these days. Lots of feedback about the MPI and the impact of this on the players, you guys. And I just wanted to say thank you. We know, we hear you. There are things we need to change and fix. I put out a dev blog about it last week. Thank you for everybody.
I'm not saying that they're going to use Instagram HTFU. What I'm saying is that, well, they're going to try it. And if it's good for them, then they're going to use it because it's important to communicate.
Who's taking the time to read that, give me feedback, and participate in those conversations. We have a big update we're calling the Revenant Major Update coming out on March 12th. And we just want to keep that conversation going with you guys. So you're going to get a few more updates like this from us, and we're going to go into a bit more depth as to what you can expect.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about the mining changes already. Oh, never mind. Here they go.
All right, so what you can expect with our March 12th update is to see us kind of coming and tending to some of the challenges, specifically in nullsec Equinox Sov mining. So what we're doing is rebalancing the tier 1 and tier 2 upgrades so that we're taking the rocks that exist in the space, the asteroids, crunching the smaller ones down into bigger ones, adding more volume.
The hacking site, I can't remember the exact name of the hacking site, but it's a relic site that you have to scan down in the system.
And just more quantity.
Oh, also, just as a side note, the fact that they don't have any reward for, they should have absolutely have put the fishing stuff in the tasks as well, I think.
For you to mine. And then we've added a completely new tier 3 upgrade. And this is specifically for corps and alliances that want to add capital Rorqual mining as an option for their corporation. So we're really excited to see that. And then finally, there's a new ore deep core strip mining laser that's meant to make Mercoxit mining just more efficient and more effective. So hopefully with all these changes, you'll see an improvement to mining overall.
I'm like 1 year into Millennial, so I can say that stuff. Missiles good for new player. Missiles are extremely good, especially for PvE. They have good application and excellent damage selection. Manufacturing cost tweets.
All right, so this next one I think you guys are going to really love. We've reduced the manufacturing costs of T1 capitals and battleships. We really want to get you guys out into space fighting in these things, and we know that they've been too expensive, so we hope that this is a really big positive change for all of you. Oh, and one more thing, OR has managed to fix the vertical supremacy problems with the Rorqual, so we hope to see you out in space in those again.
So now that we start to get into issues where I'm kind of, I understand why they didn't say anything like specifics per se, but there are some of these things that I'd really like more information about. So like in this case, battleships and capital ships are going to be made cheaper. My prediction is that they're going to do that by dealing with the core temperature regulator. That's kind of the key component to capitals and battleships that aren't part of other things. So I guess I would expect to see something about the cost of the capital core temperature regulators or core temperature regulators go down. Why did I just hear my door open? Hold on. All right, we're fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I forgot that my son has an appointment. Well, I didn't forget that my son had an appointment, but I didn't know that they were picking up something on their way. Okay. No, I didn't get it wrong. Okay, next. Yeah, so I assume that that's what it's going to be, but I don't know for sure. So now there's some balance changes.
Hey! So, coming in the Revenant Major patch on the 12th of March, we're doing a series of small balance changes to ships. One of which is that we're looking at simplifying warp speeds among all of the ships in the game, making it a little simpler for people to understand. And also, in discussion with the CSM, we've been looking at the EOS command ship, splitting out the damages of the drones to make sure that we are separating the sentry drones from the regular drones, allowing for the EOS to remain as powerful as possible, but also making sure that it's not oppressive with the sentries. Backed by popular demand, we're adding the sinusoidal field generators back to Hictors.
Okay, let's deal with these things one at a time. So the first one is the EOS is being changed. It seems like so the EOS was rebalanced a little while ago in a focus towards sentry drones, right? But the EOS has really kind of taken over in a lot of metas with their sniping capabilities. And so we can see that there's currently a drone tracking speed, drone range, and drone damage bonus, but that is to all drones. Now, that tracking speed bonus is specifically there to make it so that sentries are better. Like when they made this rebalance, they said that they're wanting to make the EOS into a drone or into a sentry drone platform. But again, like it has succeeded a little bit too well. So they're having to adjust that. From my understanding, they're splitting this now up so that there's going to be a damage drone damage bonus and a tracking bonus separate for sentries and everything else. Okay, so that way the sentries bonuses they'll still get sentry bonuses, but they're going to be tuned down compared to like heavy drones or whatever, which kind of makes sense because the sentry drones don't have flight time. They're way better at doing the finger of death, where a bunch of people slave off drones to one person and then that person can just fire and do a bunch of damage all at once. So it's a difficult thing to balance. I think that that's going to help. And as an EOS pilot, I'm fine-ish with it. Let's see if they're... yeah, so according to CSP Swift, we get 10% bonus to heavy drone, medium drone, and light drone hit points and damage, and only a 5% bonus to sentry drone damage and hit points. So the main damage bonus, like basically only sentry drones are having their damage bonus nerfed by half, and the tracking is being nerfed by 2.5% per level, or 1/3. Finger of Death is way cooler than Drone Bunny. The Drone Bunny is who controls the Finger of Death. All right. Hey, Stoic. Hey, thank you for that immortal sponsor, supporter, Stoic. You're the man. I appreciate it. It's good to see you, my friend. Burger with some quality of life improvements.
Hey, how are you? On March 12th, we're actually putting out a great bundle of joy as well, on top of everything else that you've seen in these videos. And these range from like tiny things to really great things you didn't even know that you needed. And this goes everywhere from being able to see the amount of skill points.
Fuck, you're right. I'm not done with this one.
Making sure that it's not oppressive with the sentries. Backed by popular demand, we're adding the sinusoidal field generators back to Hictors. That should mean that the Hictor pilots will now be able to be more oppressive on the battlefield. And also...
Okay. This one is huge. Like when CCP Okami said that meta changes were happening on Wednesday, I, of course, was kind of scoffing at that, right? But honestly, this one is actually a very big change. So once upon a time, you could actually fit Sinos on anything that it could actually fit on. As long as it had enough cargo for the ozone, you can make it happen. People even used Corvettes for Sinos back in the day. In 2019, as part of their at the beginning of their attempts to kind of rejigger EVE to be a better game in spite of them not, like, the changes not being very popular, they changed it so that Sinos can only be lit by recon pilots and Black Ops pilots, with covert Sinos being able to be lit by anything that has covert ops cloak, and eventually industry pilots or industry Sinos being able to be lit by industrialists, etc., etc. But this restriction on main Sinos, on recons and Black Ops, were intended to make it so that those Sinos, like, it was very hard to just have a throwaway Sino. You could still buy like a mobile Sino deployer, but you can't just use like a free Corvette as your throwaway ship for your Sino. Hold on. You want up? You want up? You want up? Want up? Good girl. Good girl. So, so the thing is that Hicks, heavy interdiction cruisers, they have a pretty significant role in the game. You know, back when super capitals were really, really overpowered, I used to say, if a supercarrier, if a Hick doesn't threaten a Titan, then nothing threatens the Titan. Because Hicks are kind of designed to be the counter capital. They are a cruiser-sized platform that carries with it a, they can do the Higgs bubble, or they can even do an Infinipoint, where they focus it down to a single point that can hold effectively anything on grid indefinitely. They've got a very long point, you know, very long range. So Hicks are designed to tackle capitals. And so giving them a Sino makes the Hick a very powerful and aggressive kind of all-in-one, get tackle, light Sino, bring in fleet, you know, obviously stabilize the tackle, because lighting the Sino will make it so the Hick stops moving, which is very, you know, could be very risky for it, but hopefully the people that jump in will be able to take care of it. It makes it so that attacking with a hot drop becomes a whole lot more viable, and it makes Hicks a lot scarier overall. This could potentially be a pretty big change. This, like, using Hicks for Sino was really, really popular before 2019, and I think that it wasn't necessarily their intent to disrupt that fact, but so that's why they're like giving it back to them. Hicks are still pretty expensive ships, so it's not like they're being able to be used as throwaway Sinos.
Be more oppressive on the battlefield. And also, looking at the ECM burst modules, we're going to be limiting it to battleships and haulers. Also coming on the Revenant. So
the ECM module, the ECM burst module, this is a fun one that they've had problems with in the past. It's designed to try to do an ECM jam on everybody around you. In practice, it's used to troll people by warping into the middle of a fleet and then hitting it and then warping off. They did recently make it so that you can't actually use them with warp core stabilizers, because people would just like warp in, pop their stabilizer, and then warp off before anybody can do it, just to troll people. But now they're taking the next step and making it so it only works for battleships and haulers, which unfortunately, like, I think that really screws over explorers and possibly even miners, who also likely were using ECM jammers legitimately. But if you're going to let explorers do it, then oh right, it's not this. I'm sorry, not warp core stabilizer. It was the interdiction nullifier. Interdiction nullifier is canceled by having the ECM jammer on, so you can't just like warp in and warp out of a warp bubble while using an ECM jam. As far as I know, that restriction is going to still be in place, but again, like, only haulers and battleships will be able to fit these things now, so they're going to probably have a significantly smaller place in the universe, I guess.
Major update on the 12th of March. We're looking at the Metanox fuel costs. We're hoping to increase that, which should create more consideration for placement and put more value on Magma.
We talked about that before. The changing of the Metanox is possibly going to change the value of the R4, or of, you know, Moongoo, especially R4, R6, R4, R8, and R16, because those are the ones that got Metanox drilled the most. The breakdown of profitability is going to shift for a lot of structures, but it's also going to potentially just increase the value of the magmatic gas. Yay, no more Smart Bomb Proteus with a burst jammer on it? Wait, what's so gross? Which part is gross?
Hey,
All right,
how are
Burger,
you?
let's go.
On March 12th, we're actually putting
Oh,
out
yeah.
a great bundle of joy as well, on top of everything else that you've seen in these videos. And these range from like tiny things to really great things you didn't even know that you needed. And this goes everywhere from being able to see the amount of skill points there are in the skill queue.
That's going to be a big one. It's kind of a small one, but kind of a big one. It's actually really difficult to know how many skill points a certain thing is going to take in order to train it. It most of the time only shows it to you in the terms of time, but then over time, increasingly we have just like moved to more of allocating unallocated skill points. So knowing how much skill points you need ahead of time is pretty important. So this could be very useful for those people.
To the ability to actually pin a station to the top of your personal assets window.
This is
and
awesome.
My favorite, we're introducing drone state icons. So you can actually see the state of your drones in any window size. Everyone seems to
I like
be
that too.
loving the new PI templates. And we've actually been working on improving them especially improving the usability of them. We'll be adding and improving the filtering of them. We'll also be adding in multi-select for when you're adding in new PI schematics, and my favorite, a reset button for your extractors. This should really reduce my day-to-day tedium when managing my PIs.
Spoiler alert, the guy who's been shit talking on Reddit to try to get the extractors is actually secretly CCP Burger. He's been launching his own Underworld campaign in order to get the extractors. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is great. PI has gotten a lot of love recently. Maybe not tomorrow. I don't know what the rest of my week is going to be like since my son has the rest of the week off work, or off school rather. But I do hope to take a look at PI after these changes happen. So this week or next week.
On March 12th, we're also adding some great improvements to fleets. The first one is that we're adding a disband fleet button, which it sounds small, but oh my god, this is huge. And we're also adding max fleet size and default fleet settings to the settings, so yeah, makes it easier for everyone. We're adding option to accept fleet members from conduit jumps, and
that's actually really interesting.
Well. And finally, we're allowing you to broadcast rep for people outside your fleet.
Somebody needs to explain to me what the hell that last sentence meant. How do you broadcast for reps to somebody outside of your fleet? So I actually have I think I know what this means. I think this, like, in the same way that you can broadcast somebody as a target, like right now you can broadcast for reps and it automatically says, I need reps. But I think that what they're talking about is the fact that they're adding a broadcast that basically says they need reps, which I'm not sure if that's exactly what they mean. They might mean, like, I can't imagine it's just like a general, give me reps that everybody sees. It's got to be like a broadcast target situation. It would be like the FC broadcast the home front tower for reps. That's a cool idea. Okay, Sunesis says I'm
thank
correct.
you all for tuning into this short series of the updates that are coming out in the March 12th major update. This isn't all, so make sure to keep your eyes open for the patch notes and the news items. Can't wait to see what to get up to. See you in space.
So I don't know if this was covered earlier or not, but another one of the changes that I really, really need more details for is they talked about the fact that they're going to be changing warp speeds. They're going to be like simplifying warp speeds. I don't know what this means. I want to know what this means. I know that, so allegedly Drake leaked some information about that. But when I went to go look up the supposedly leaked information, it's deleted now. Don't know how this is going to play out. I reached out to Drake for comment, but I haven't gotten any yet. But I haven't seen any actual like details about the warp speed changes. I'm very nervous about that, though. I guess I did see that it was something about instead of a instead of a percentage amount, that it's a flat amount. But I don't actually know if anybody has any more information about that. That'd be great. And now, of course, they give the incredibly so like all of these are very popular hallelujah changes, and they gave the most popular ones to the new director, CCP Okami, the generally good ones to CCP Burger, and the bitter pill to swallow. CCP Rutati, I'm starting to think that CCP Rutati lives off of the hatred of the EVE community. But here we go.
So, in the Revenant Major Update coming on March 12th, we're looking at force projection. Force projection is a hot topic, and it's one of those things that never will get really fixed, so it needs constant attention. We have worked really well with the CSM in February and come up with a, let's say, a mutual or cooperative plan, a longer-term plan going forward. One of those is that we've identified how difficult it is to kind of create engagement around Ansiblexes, but we've also wanted to improve the Ansiblex ecosystem, basically. So we want to add more risk to long distance.
It's very weird that he's got that banging and noise in the background, right?
Projection, but we all
like, I feel like they're just not respecting him. Like, these guys are all in there, like, in nice rooms. Good sound design. Anyway,
also want to have people be able to run their home network in a better way. Reducing the radius of the Ansiblexes, for one, and second of all, removing auto repair from the Ansiblexes.
Okay, so what does he mean by that? He said reducing the radius of the Ancillobexes and removing the repair from the Ancillobexes. So this is, I mean, like, this is a balance change. It's a nerf to Ancillobexes, but it's not as big of a nerf as it originally kind of seemed on the surface. I heard some people talking about, yeah, I don't know where the banging's coming from. So, like, I originally heard that they were going to nerf the ranges of Ancillobexes. That is not the case. What they're talking about here is they're physically making the Ancillobexes smaller, right? And making their radius around them smaller. And the reason why is because now they're making it so that you can disrupt people from going through Ancillobexes. If they're bubbled or if they're scrammed or whatever, then they can't jump through the Ancillobex. So they made the Ancillobexes radius smaller to make it so that, like, it's easier to bubble and disrupt them. And then the Ancillobex requiring repair is actually kind of nasty because it makes it so that your jump bridge networks are, like, we've had this before where because they have only the single reinforcement timer and then they shut down for a period of time, that means that, like, it's very easy to disrupt people's infrastructure if you're able to get in there and get some damage in right away. And this means that somebody manually has to go out there and put in the work to put it back up. It doesn't just repair by itself.
Just like we did with the Methanoxid, which has proven a really good way to increase comfort. The second part of the force projection plan is to trim some of the kind of, let's say, defects of the long-term plan. One of those is parchment filaments. It is very easy to get out of trouble with these parchment filaments, and they've kind of taken away a lot of the depth of the travel kind of and logistics in the universe. So parchment filament users have had a pretty easy time getting out of trouble, so we want to even the odds. We want to give hunters a better ability to catch them, so we're adding spool up time to parchment filaments.
So spool up time to parchment filaments. This is something that's been talked about quite a bit, and they finally are going out and doing it. So I don't actually know the details about what this even means, since we don't have spool up timers on any of the filaments at the moment that I know of. But they made it so that now, or I assume that however long the spool up timer is, you have to be there effectively a sitting duck, uncloaked, for a period of time. So that will prevent people in, like, nullsec or something like that using a parchment filament as a quick escape. And it could potentially make it so that getting out of parchment is a little bit riskier in the fact that, however, I don't know how long the spool time is supposed to be, but in theory, if it's long enough, then somebody could theoretically scan you down and come and get you before the filament even finishes, which would be pretty crazy. So we definitely need some more details about that. A spool up timer of 10 seconds versus a spool up timer of 1 minute would be very, very, very different. The devil is in the details. Intosis filament warm up, I guess. Fairly rare that Insyllabics get killed. Most groups just hit them to ring the bell and fight. Don't intend to kill them after the timer. Maybe this changes things, but I doubt it. No, I think that the overall thing of like, from an invader point of view or from a hostile agent's point of view, hitting them, yeah, not needlejacks. Hitting an Insyllabics is like taking it down the first time shuts it off, which makes it as good as you need it to be. Like you don't necessarily need to destroy it. They could just put it back if you destroy it. I think that definitely the filament that's inside of Pochfin, like the Pochfin filament about getting out of Pochfin, the extraction filament, that spool up is going to be way, way more important. You know, because like, yeah, using Pochfin filaments as like a get out of jail free card is fun and all, but it was mostly done in wormholes and they got rid of that in wormholes already. So yeah, like I said, it's going to really, really depend what the details are when it comes to these Pochfin filament spin up things. Is that it for these things? Oh, also there is upcoming sales tax changes. So if you live in the US or Canada, you're going to have to pay respective sales tax for digital items. No, only the Pochfin filaments. So abyssal filaments and needlejack filaments appear to be unaffected. These are only the, I assume only the ingressing and outgressing Pochfin filaments. So home. I guess, so a yeet filament taking time to spool up doesn't really do anything for anybody. Right? Because most people, when they use a yeet filament, are going to be in a relative safety. Although that's not even true. I carry around yeet filaments as my emergency go-to. Yeah. It definitely doesn't get rid of the whole, like, emergency get out of jail free card. It just... Like I said, the only real impact here is having to spool up when you're in Pochfin. All right. We are cooking through these changes. If they include a 2 or 3 minute spool up, that's just enough time for somebody to scan you down. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a huge difference between a 10-second spool up and a minute spool up. You know? Very, very different conditions. I agree. 30 seconds would probably be pretty good. It's going to make just hanging out in Pochfin waiting for people to show up a lot, more valuable. It would be spicy. I really wish that there was like a module or a device that you could do to like lock onto a filament after it's been used to see where it went. Yeah. Filament hijacker. All changes meant to make it easier to hunt generally makes you harder to hunt because nobody can hunt what isn't there. Hey, I say this all the time whenever they make like updates to like a low sec site where there's some sort of protection in the low sec site. It's like you need people to have a sense of safety so that way they even go and do it. they're building up the drifters burning Jita during FanFest. I mean, kinda. It is worth noting that none of the drifter slices have, like, what's happening right now in the event has nothing to do with the drifter slices. The drifter side of things hasn't actually happened. Filament crowbar. It would be cool, like, maybe not even follow them, like, just even knowing exactly where they went would be kind of cool. All right. Now then, I do want to talk a little bit, before we wrap things up, about Eve Galaxy Conquest, their mobile game. I have been continuing to play it. I've been continuing to follow it. We are entering we're pretty much at the end of Season 2, but they're doing their first actual, like, real event that matters in the game. The Caldari Prime Campaign Memorial Event. So it is also lasting 2 weeks. It also started today. It involves a daily login reward. It has new decoder keys, which we'll talk about. There's a lot of different tasks for killing pirates, and most importantly, it is the introduction of the Hyperion battleship to Eve Galaxy Conquest. So, good news, the Hyperion is actually pretty easy to get. If you're willing to pay, I think it was like $5 for it, it should be pretty easy to get. But let's go ahead and look real quick. Oops. Here's my Eve Galaxy Conquest character. Not my main account, but my secondary account. I already spent some stuff. There's actually a lot of changes, a lot of really good changes today. For those of you who have been kind of paying, like, zoned out because it's the end of Season 2, it is time to at least come and pay attention at least a little bit. So we have as normal, we have the Era Treasure, which, by the way, one of the bugs that's going on right now is that you can, like, when you claim things, it doesn't get rid of it right now. So you kind of got to leave the window and re-enter it in order to refresh the information. That's new this week. That's just a bug or whatever. I assume it'll get fixed sooner rather than later. But we have... Wait. Oh, that's going to take forever. Hold on. Because I have to exit out, go in, claim it. Okay, that's bad. Let's... All right, so Caldari Campaign Memorial. So there's a login campaign for these different tickets. By the way, these things here are the tickets, okay? They just have, like, if you go to the special... Oh, they don't even have the recruitment thing here right now. Hold on. Why are all my guys injured? Oh. Well, that's not great. Thanks, Havoc. I'm being in the middle of being messed with. Another thing that they added in is this corporation gift. So now as corporation people get stuff, I already have. As people already get stuff in the corporation, like they buy stuff, like if you purchase certain things or do certain things, you also get rewards for the people in your corporation, which I think is really cool. And they include some really cool things. I got like 10 extra tickets on my main account, thanks to the hard work of all of the people in the corp. Well, that's unfortunate. Why can't I pull up? There it is. So, just like the normal polls, you've got this store, but the difference here is that this store actually has a bunch of different currencies you can buy stuff with. You don't have to just spend money for it. You can even buy things with, like, say, loyalty points and Conqueror score. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to buy some with loyalty points. and then we will open them. See what we get. Nothing good. Come on. I have not gotten a single good thing out of any of these so far this morning. And I opened up like 15 on my main account. I do like the fact that I can spend all my other extra currencies. Like if you're at the end of the season, you've got a bunch of extra currency to use. Boom, something to use it on. Thank you very much to Cozy for bringing a lot of these things to my attention. There were a lot of other changes to the game, some small rebalancing here and there. But they didn't actually detail those very well, so I don't know. We don't know them all yet, so hopefully I'll make an update that talks a little bit more about it if something important comes up. I will notice that, like, these corporation gifts is like a constant spam, it seems. All right. And so then if we go to the ship itself, we can see that its #1 attack. So it basically, the Hyperion is designed to do both energy attacks and kinetic attacks at the same time, right? So the #1 deals both a kinetic and an energy attack. That its mutaplasmid increases both of them by 46%, so it's basically 2 full attacks. The second ability is another kinetic and energy attack. Now these are active modules, so these won't happen every single time the Hyperion fires. It's just once a turn they have a chance to happen, 45% of the time each of them, for 2 attacks. And then the third one, this has a 100% chance of activating every time you shoot. Every time you do kinetic damage, your firepower increases by 1.8%, stackable of up to 8 times. And that's at level 1. So I assume that when you train it up, it'll be higher than that. So it's a pretty significant firepower boost when it stacks all the way up to 8 times. And then its mutaplasmid effect is 3.5% energy. Whenever doing energy damage, stacks up to 8 times. 3.5% at max. That makes sense because that matches the energy thing. So that is 25% bonus to energy and kinetic damage, or firepower and energy, which, remember, that energy is also going to be helping your reps, which is your final module. The repair wing, once you it repairs your wing every turn without fail. It's got a 100% chance of happening, so that's a pretty big one. And it reps for up to 80% or 70%, 70 or so percent, probably 80% when you level it up, or maybe even like up to 100%. I don't know. So it's going to rep every turn. It's going to rapidly increase both its firepower and its energy. So a squad of people that can capitalize on that with both energy attacks and kinetic attacks is going to be really good. 75.2 plus 37.6. So yeah, really strong. Corvin is kind of shown in the picture, but Corvin, the weird thing about this is that Corvin usually wants to be teamed up with his girlfriend. Yana. But the problem here is that Yana is a shield and attack. Corvin is encirclement and attack. And the Hyperion is encirclement and intercept. So you can't, there's not one, like, you can't be all 3 of them and have it be synergy, which I find kind of odd, considering it seems like it would be pretty good. Black and Foss seem to be a TC killer, Thunderchild killer. Yeah, I mean, that could be. Although if Black did just get nerfed, so they haven't, like I said, they haven't really announced anything. And what we need to do is we need to start having somebody like tear down the APKs every single time they release a new version. So that way we can better keep track of changing numbers and strings and stuff. But Dust Trap had its percentage, its initiating chance go from 100% to 55%. So Black got a little bit of a nerf, which I think is really dumb, honestly. But yeah. But that about does it, I think. Am I missing anything else? Oh, there is a rig for the Hyperion. Oh, right. Hold on. If we go to the store... Nope. If we go to the Memorial Day thing, Echoes of History. Here we go. So here is the path for the Hyperion stuff. We can see that if you make it to level 30 and unlock the premium, which the premium costs $5. So if you get to level 30 and you buy for $5, you can get the Hyperion. And then you can get some BPCs for it to buff it up to 1 star at level 40. It looks... Oh, and there's enough for... Actually, yeah, so there's enough for, I think, 1 star in this if you level it all the way up to the max level. So, yeah. That's about it. So, lots of stuff happening today. I think they charged me 15 for it. It's supposed to be 5. Maybe did you get the one? Usually they have one that's like, and also levels you up. Nope, I don't see that either. Wait. Oh, no. I don't know. Why are you killing me, jerk? All right. Star rewards on the bottom. Wait, what? I didn't level up. I got a notification from Apple Pay that said it was charged 15. I would fucking get mad about that. I would get very mad about that. See, like, you get so much crap from this stuff. I don't know what you guys are buying, but I'll take all the free stuff, man. But I think this is only happening for a short period of time. So go out there and kill some Garistus. There's also, yeah, I saw some new loot in the Garistus rats. You can get these legendary material caches. I've got these 6 gold keys, but you can't use gold tokens on this loot, or on this whatever recruitment. You can only use the new chips, so you can't use a gold one of the gold, your normal gold recruitments. Also, we can see new reports. The reports look different. You can see better rewards there. I haven't quite like dinked around with it too much, so I don't know what I think too much about it yet. The logs don't look too changed, but yeah. So, just a heads up, Eve Conquest is still going on. End of season 2 is about to come to an end. I think within a week for most of the main, for the original servers. I know that there are a lot of people interested in me doing more Eve Galaxy Conquest content, and I will keep bugging me. You know, everything going on in Eve Online and everything has demanded a lot of my time. Yeah. I think that's about it, right? Today might be a short day. So, to close things off today, I want to give you guys a little bit of a pro tip for EVE Online. Now that all of the market updated. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Cozy. So, in addition to all those other changes, we do have the Interbus market. Sorry. The military exploits market has had new things added to it, including stellar construction terminals and some other like you can get other pieces out of here too. And then the loyalty point store has also had stellar construction added to it. Oh, and you can get a... Could you always get a home-based anchoring device with 7,500? I don't know. All right. Lunch charges together after the fact? Ah. All right. All right, guys. So to set you guys up for this week, I wanted to give you guys a quick tip, to, especially you new players, but even experienced players living in high sec and low sec. This is one of the best transportation ships in the game, especially for newer players. It doesn't require any real skills. It can be used by anybody. It's uncatchable and has a giant cargo bay for what it is. The secret is it a hauling ship? No. It is, if we go to fitting here, oops. The Sunesis. So this Sunesis, now the character that I'm on right now has basically no skills whatsoever. But even then, you can just turn off the tractor beam, and the Sunesis fits just fine. If you're an alpha, you can't fit the cloaking device. That's fine. It can be off too. Okay, so this Sunesis is amazing. Everybody should have this fit saved. I will make sure to put it down in the comments below. Oops. But the key here is the mid slots don't really matter as much, right? Because the Microwarpdrive, it only really matters if you're crashing gate, and the shields, extenders, and Hardener really only matters if you get caught. And your goal here is to not get caught. The real secret here is in this... shit, my skills aren't good. God, I gotta show this off with it. I gotta start over. Hold on. I gotta show you it on a real character. All right. Here is this transportation Sunesis on Ashtarothi. Now, a newer player may not have all of the skills, but you can actually compensate for that with using an extra inertial stabilizer if you need to. This does take some skills, so you might need to train into it a little bit, although, you know, like the Multispectrum shield hardener isn't that necessary. Obviously, the tractor beam and the cloaking is not necessary. Really, only the stabilizers and the cargo holds are going to be a big skill requirement ask of any kind. Inertial stabilizers require hull upgrades 2, which you should have already, and cargo extenders require hull upgrades 2, which you should have already. So chances are this thing is going to be basically out the gate good for you. If we turn off the Microwarpdrive, we can see that I have an alignment of 1.97. That makes it sub 2 second. Sub 2 second is effectively uncatchable in EVE Online. So if they don't have bubbles, as long as you're warping from point to point, this ship should be basically uncatchable. So what makes this so good is that, you know, sub 2 second is this highly coveted thing for ships to be fast and agile and uncatchable. But this thing does it and still has enough cargo space to have 1,700 meters cubed of cargo space. So over 1,500 M3 worth of cargo on a sub 2 second alignment ship. This is going to do 90% of all of your day-to-day hauling, or like moving things around, moving ammo to places, moving loot to market, whatever you need to do in high sec. This transportation Sunesis is going to be able to do just as good as most of the industrialists, while being cheap, being fast, uncatchable, and actually carrying a lot more than some. But yeah, very, very, very useful ship. Everybody should have at least one of them laying around for your own purposes. If you need to get it below 2 second align time, you can always drop off one of the cargo extenders and put another inertial stabilizer, or keep adding inertial stabilizers or nanofibers until you get sub 2 second. Anything below sub 2 second is pretty much like more than good. 2 second is already uncatchable. You can't be 2.0. You have to be 1.99 or lower, okay? Yeah, go ahead and hopefully that'll help you out. I know there's a lot of newer players that need to have some transportation stuff. Transportation Sunesis. We'll be putting it down below. Oh, I cannot add it to the chat. I can add it to the description. All right. Well, that is it for today's tip and today's stream. So thank you guys for checking this out. I do ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot going on. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to stream this week. So make sure you also get in on the Discord, where we post a lot of updates there too, including what's going on in as far as the stream goes. Thank you to all of you who consider supporting, becoming a member or a patron. If you are a member, make sure to tie your Discord together with YouTube, because that's what gets you into the supporter-only channel in Discord, where I like to touch base with a bunch of my supporters. And I hope to do like a supporter stream this week, but we'll see. I still need to do the turret editing guide. I am looking to hire editors or other people to help make the show work. And I'm also looking to hire for the Convocation of Empyreans. We want to make things happen, especially with all this drifter stuff happening. We are actively recruiting. We've got rewards for people. We've got things for people to do and needs. So come help out, join the Convocation of Empyreans, maximize player engagement with EVE Online, and help support a better EVE Online. If you haven't gotten your 1,000,000 free SP, please use the link down below or in chat to get 1,000,000 free skill points. That is 40 days of training. If you've never done it before, you can still get it, even if you already have an account. And if you use my link, it sends you to a person on that helps support the show and the Alliance, not just myself. So on behalf of all of them, thank you for your consideration in using our link. Sounds great, DK. All right. I think if that's about it, if I get done with my spiel and nobody reminds me of anything, I'm going to consider this all. I have been Ashtarothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put EVE into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for coming, checking out what's going on. Oh, if you are interested in crisis sites in EVE, in our Discord, if you go into the roles channel, you should be able to flag yourself as interested in Homefront operations. That is the current Drifter crisis stuff. So flag yourself with that, so then you know what's going on when we put together fleets. With all that said, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space.
every city